Who is really in control of your life? You or the voice inside your head? Every morning you wake up with intentions. You want to be focused. You want to be disciplined. You want to move closer to your goals. But then something happens. A thought appears. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right time. And without realizing it, you obey. Not because you are weak, but because you never questioned who was giving the orders. There is a silent war happening inside you right now. One voice wants comfort. The other wants growth. One wants safety. The other demands courage. Most people never see this battle. They think their thoughts are facts. They think their feelings are commands. And so they drift. They react. They let moods decide their future. But here is the truth that changes everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. The legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi understood this long before modern psychology explained it. He knew that the greatest opponent was not standing across from him with a sword. The greatest opponent was within. Doubt, fear, hesitation. If those forces controlled him, the battle was already lost before it began. Today, neuroscience confirms the same principle. Your brain is wired for survival, not greatness. It wants to protect you from risk. It prefers the familiar over the extraordinary. That is why fear feels so convincing. That is why excuses sound reasonable. Your mind is trying to keep you safe. But safe does not mean fulfilled. Safe does not mean powerful. Safe does not mean free. If you do not take control of your mind will control you. Think about the last time you avoided something important, the workout you skipped, the conversation you delayed, the opportunity you hesitated to take. What stopped you? It was not reality. It was a thought. A single internal sentence that you accepted without challenge. That is how control is lost. Not in dramatic moments, but in small repeated surrenders. Control begins with awareness. The moment you notice a thought, instead of automatically obeying it, you create space. In that space, there is power. You can ask, is this thought helping me or limiting me? You can decide whether it deserves authority. You can choose a different response. This is where your transformation starts. Imagine what happens when you stop believing every negative whisper. Imagine waking up and recognizing fear as a signal, not a stop sign. Imagine facing challenges with clarity instead of confusion. When you control your mind, you control your reactions. When you control your reactions, you control your direction. And when you control your direction, you control your destiny. Stay with me, because this is not theory. This is training. By the end, you will see how to discipline your thoughts, strengthen your focus, and build a mindset that does not collapse under pressure. You will understand how to become unshakable in a world designed to distract you. The war is already happening inside you. The only question is whether you will remain a prisoner of your impulses or rise as the commander of your own mind. Once you accept that the battle is internal, everything changes, because now you understand that winning is not about overpowering the world. It is about training the mind that interprets the world. Miyamoto Musashi did not become legendary by chance. He trained relentlessly, not only his body, but his perception. He repeated movements until they became instinct. He removed distraction. He embraced discomfort. He understood a principle that modern neuroscience now proves. Repetition wires identity. Your brain is constantly adapting. Every thought you repeat strengthens a neural pathway. Every complaint makes complaining easier. Every excuse makes quitting more natural. But the opposite is also true. Every disciplined action makes discipline more automatic. Every courageous decision makes courage more accessible. You are always training your mind. The only question is what you are training it to do. When you hit snooze, you train delay. When you scroll instead of act, you train distraction. When you avoid hard conversations, you train fear. These small choices feel harmless. They are not dramatic, they are not loud, but they are shaping you, quietly, consistently, powerfully. The mind loves efficiency. It wants patterns. It wants shortcuts. So whatever you repeat becomes easier. That is why change feels uncomfortable at first. You are asking your brain to carve a new path through old territory. It resists because resistance saves energy, but growth demands energy. This is where discipline becomes your weapon. Discipline is not punishment, it is programming. When you wake up and move even when you do not feel like it, you send a message to your nervous system. I decide. Not my mood, not my comfort, not my fear. When you focus deeply for an hour without distraction, you are not just finishing a task. You are strengthening your capacity for control. Start with the first hour of your day. Protect it. Do not give it to noise. Do not give it to other people's priorities. Sit in silence. Breathe. Set one clear intention. Write down what must be done. When you win the first hour, you build momentum, and momentum builds belief. Belief is not created by affirmations alone. It is created by evidence. When you prove to yourself through action that you can follow through, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who tries, but as someone who executes. Guard your inputs with the same intensity. What you watch shapes your expectations. What you listen to shapes your standards. What you tolerate shapes your future. Your environment feeds your thoughts, and your thoughts drive your behavior. If you want control, you must become selective. Consistency is where power compounds, not intensity for one day, not motivation for 1 week, but small, repeated victories. Each one stacking on the last. Each one reinforcing the belief that you are in command. This is how you turn awareness into authority. This is how you move from reacting to directing. Every disciplined act is a vote for the person you are becoming. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. But control is not proven in comfort. It is revealed in chaos. Anyone can feel disciplined when life is smooth. Anyone can feel focused when nothing is at stake. The real test comes when plans collapse, when criticism cuts deep, when failure shakes your confidence. In those moments, your training is exposed. Your automatic thoughts rush forward. They tell you to quit. They tell you to defend. They tell you to shrink. This is where most people lose control. The brain is designed to detect threat. It exaggerates danger to protect you. A mistake feels like disaster. Rejection feels like humiliation. Uncertainty feels like doom. Your heart races. Your breathing shortens. Your vision narrows. And if you are not conscious, you react from that state. You speak too soon. You give up too early. You decide from fear instead of strength. Control means creating space in that storm. Viktor Frankl once wrote that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies your freedom. That space is your power. It is small, almost invisible, but it changes everything. When something goes wrong, you pause. You breathe slowly. You let the first wave of emotion pass. You refuse to let the loudest thought become the final decision. Breathing is not weakness, it is strategy. Slow, controlled breaths signal safety to your nervous system. Your heart rate steadies, your mind clears. From that calm state, you see options instead of threats. You respond instead of react. Ask better questions in those moments. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what can this teach me? Not, who is to blame? But what can I control right now? These questions shift you from victim to leader. They redirect your focus from what is lost to what is possible. Failure becomes data. Criticism becomes feedback. Pressure becomes training. When you review your mistakes without emotion, you gain intelligence. You extract the lesson. You adjust your approach. You move again. Each cycle strengthens you. Each challenge becomes resistance that builds mental muscle. The pain does not disappear, but it stops controlling you. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feeling. It is about guiding it. Anger can become fuel. Fear can become focus. Doubt can become preparation. But only if you are aware enough to shape it. The world does not become easier when you control your mind. It becomes clearer. You stop seeing obstacles as personal attacks. You start seeing them as tests of alignment. Are you who you said you would be when pressure arrives? Are you disciplined when motivation disappears? Are you calm when chaos surrounds you? When you master your response, adversity loses its power to define you. It can challenge you, but it cannot command you. And that is freedom. Not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of control. This is where real strength is built. Not in perfect conditions, but in imperfect moments where you choose clarity over chaos, intention over impulse, growth over retreat. And when you reach that level of control, something shifts inside you. Life no longer feels like something that happens to you. It feels like something you shape. Your thoughts are like a river. Uncontrolled, they flood everything. They overflow into distraction, comparison, insecurity, anger. They pull you in different directions until you feel scattered. Miyamoto Musashi lived by clear principles long before he entered battle. He decided who he would be before the test arrived. Calm, precise, unshaken. He did not wait for the moment to choose his character. He chose his character so the moment could not choose for him. You must do the same. If you do not define your standards, your emotions will. If you do not create rules for yourself, comfort will create them for you. And comfort has a low standard. It negotiates with your goals. It whispers that average is enough. It convinces you that later is safer than now. Personal rules eliminate negotiation. When you decide, I finish what I start, there is no debate when it becomes hard. When you decide, I train even when I'm tired, fatigue loses its authority. When you decide, I speak with honesty, fear loses its voice. Clear standards reduce mental friction. They conserve energy for action. This is how identity becomes unbreakable. Your brain is always asking, who am I? And it answers based on evidence. Each time you act in alignment with your standards, you reinforce a powerful identity, not through words, through proof. You become someone who follows through, someone who stands firm, someone who does not collapse under pressure. Visualization strengthens this identity even further. When you clearly imagine yourself acting with courage, speaking with confidence, responding with discipline, your brain activates similar neural circuits as real experience. Mental rehearsal prepares you for reality. It conditions you to expect strength from yourself. And when the real moment arrives, you are not surprised by your own power. Control of the mind is not about suppressing who you are. It is about consciously shaping who you are becoming. Every day you are either designing your character or defaulting to habit. There is no neutral ground. Every thought you entertain, every action you repeat, is carving your future. You can let impulse decide your path, or you can decide it yourself. When you control your mind, you reclaim authorship of your life. You stop being pushed by fear. You stop being pulled by distraction. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You act with precision. The world may remain unpredictable. Challenges will still come. But inside, there is structure. Inside, there is command. Inside, there is a leader who does not panic, does not drift, does not surrender control to temporary emotion. Control your mind, and you become unstoppable, not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can own you. And this is where your evolution becomes undeniable. Because once you realize that nothing can own you, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop explaining your inaction. You stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. You understand that power is not given. It is claimed. The mind will always offer comfort. It will always search for the easiest route. It will always try to protect you from effort, from embarrassment, from risk. That instinct will never fully disappear, but now you see it for what it is, a suggestion, not a command. You are the authority. Every time you choose discipline over delay, you strengthen that authority. Every time you act despite fear, you expand it. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you solidify it. Control is not a single decision. It is a daily demonstration, a repeated declaration that you are in charge of your inner world. Think about the version of you that you respect the most, the one who is focused, the one who keeps promises, the one who stands tall when things go wrong. That version is not a fantasy. It is a pattern of choices waiting to be repeated. And the gap between who you are and who you want to be is not talent. It is mental control. When your mind says, "It's too hard," you answer, "Hard is how I grow." When it says, "You might fail," you answer, "Failure trains me." When it says, "You are not ready," you answer, "I become ready by doing." This is not blind positivity. It is deliberate reframing. It is cognitive strength. It is choosing interpretations that empower action instead of paralysis. The world rewards those who can focus in a distracted age. The world respects those who remain calm in emotional storms. The world opens doors for those who act while others hesitate. And all of that begins internally, long before results appear externally. You do not need to control everything around you. That is impossible. Markets shift. People disappoint. Circumstances change. But your thoughts, your responses, your standards, those are within reach. And when those are steady, your foundation becomes unshakable. Imagine living from that place daily. Decisions made with clarity. Emotions felt but guided. Goals pursued with consistency. No longer dragged by impulse. No longer trapped by doubt. You wake up knowing that whatever the day brings, your mind will not betray you. That is freedom.